Okay, so now contemporary life is massive Islamophobia, a presidential candidate running on the idea of um, ID cards for Muslims. Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what's your relationship to it? That applies to you.
Yeah.
Because he really means Arabs. Because
Yeah,
you
it
can't.
doesn't care who. Yeah, I don't. I'm not Arab. I'm not Muslim, but I'll be in that because I'm going to prove to him I'm not. So, if that you moved on, um, he's playing to the crowd, and right now what's happening, I believe, people like the GOP, you can see they're lying. They lie. The other crews or the hardliners, or but there's something that nobody's talking about Trump. There's one very important thing that people are just completely ignoring. And people keep saying, well, you got to be a racist to vote for Trump, and all these people are racist. And all. You know what? There's a lot of bad people, but there are not so many racists in this country as much as I don't believe it. Okay, I know that they kind of wink and say, okay, fine, I don't care about that part of it, but I still vote for him because the alternatives are so much worse.
But don't you think racism at some level is also very covert and people aren't aware of it? Because you're right, there's a difference between someone who's like, I am a racist, I am in the KKK, and I want
Yeah,
these things, as opposed to
and this
like,
is honest.
well, yeah, actually, in a way, in a
It's
weird
like,
way, that's almost
yeah,
because you
it's
can
like
talk
at least
about
you
it.
know who you're dealing with.
But don't you think he's appealing to the fact that, like you were talking about in the court, where people are like so suspicious of
Yeah,
Arab people?
yeah, and that's very a lot of
That's
people are like,
racist. That's internal. That's
yeah,
deep-seated racism, right?
well, that there's a difference in some people just hate you because you're not like them. That's it.
Xenophobia.
That's xenophobia. That's hatred. That's racism. But there's a lot of the other part of racism that you're talking about comes from ignorance. People are scared of what they don't know. If they
Right.
look at me and they say, "Man, this guy could possibly kill me," they're scared.
Well, then how do you feel about the people who come from Arab countries who stay really fundamental and won't interact with other Americans? Because I know you're not that at all, and I've known
I,
really conservative Muslim people who hate America. Like, they don't buy into Western
yeah,
values and they're very suspicious
and
themselves.
I think those guys are sellouts. Why are they here? I don't think they should be here.
Usually it's for money, isn't it? Like, you just want an
Yeah,
economic
yeah, but
opportunity.
if you think your system is so good, stay there and then why are you here? You can't come here and bitch about the system. I mean, I'm saying improve it, bitch about it as an American.
Right, but
I,
not take part in it is different.
but not be taking part on it and calling it, just saying, yeah, exactly. Not taking part on it is a different thing. That's, to me, is worse than what some of these other sides that people are doing. Like, you're talking about Donald Trump supporter types, you know? That's the other side of them. There's the exact same people, opposite ends. They don't want to
Totally.
understand each other, and they're just going to hate each other without knowing who the guy is. These guys think that those white people are going to just kill us if they get a chance, and these people think if they get a chance, they'll blow us up.
So do you think that is there a huge divide in the Arab Muslim world?
Right now there is, yeah.
So, because I know fundamentalism is based on the fact that Western living, that's a sin. Like, absolutely, like you're a complete hack.
Right.
And then, so they're talking about you in a way.
Yeah.
And so for you, also, you like look at them as they're just scared, ignorant fundamentalists, right? And so is this happening? It's something that's a larger picture, right?
Yeah. I mean,
How does it play out? Like, if you go back to Pakistan, do these conversations happen?
yeah, they have this conversation all the time, and the people who are like me, there's lots of people like that, but they're scared to say much because the difference between people who are not so what do you call it, extreme in their views. When you're such an extremist in your if you're an extremist in your view, like you're talking about these guys, pro-lifers or something, where they think it's okay to kill somebody for their belief.
It's insane.
Is the same thing on this side. These people think it's okay to kill somebody because somebody up there was going to put him straight in heaven for doing the right thing. And when you get that kind of belief and you got guns, that's scary. People who think like me won't carry guns. So we're the ones who are going to get shot. So most people that are like me over there, they won't discuss it with me. They keep telling me just shut up, not to say anything.
So are they then, therefore, the progressive people are under? They're not the people in charge anymore, so to speak.
No,
They're not popular.
not at all. They're not in charge, and it doesn't take a majority to be in charge. It takes a minority with guns.
So when did this change? I mean, I kind of have a brief understanding of it, and I know it.
When I told
Like
you-
Iran in the '60s was very progressive, right?
Right.
So it's Pakistan. Like, there's no hijabs and.
No, nothing. I mean, like
What happened? I know
This is also-
imperialism happens.
no,
Was
this
a
whole
part
thing
of it.
started from the 80s. In the 80s, I told you about when the Zia took over Pakistan. He got
Right.
rid of Bhutto.
Who supported him? Did America support him?
Oh yeah, full support of the. But they supported him, but they didn't support this ideology.
They supported him because he was helping them.
He
They
was
didn't-
helping because he was against socialism, and that's what the U.S. is concerned about.
Right, and so
But
also the
Mujahideen.
Mujahideen was against socialism too, right?
Right, and so we like the Mujahideen, and the funding came mostly from Saudi, though, you know.
Really?
And but the thing is, as soon as this thing started, I mean, a lot of the Mujahideen were getting money from the U.S. and Saudi Arabia, ammunition, guns and arms from the U.S. and money from Saudi Arabia, and they were growing. And then when the war stopped, now all these guys with guns and this crazy belief, free, you know, to do, and then nothing to do. And Osama bin Laden was one of those leaders. He said, "Well, we already have the team ready. Now we got to change. This whole system is going to become what they believe Islam to be." Actually, if you go back in history and you look at Muhammad's time, he fought people like this. He actually was giving them freedom. He said you cannot hurt people, you know, for their beliefs. Everybody's free to choose their religion. So I'm not a Muslim, but I respect that man for the stuff he was bringing in. He was fighting the exact same people who have taken over and fighting in his name today. These are the same people he was fighting. The same kind of dogmatic, you know, non-thinking beliefs is what he was totally against. And he fought that, and he did great. And then it's all come back. But the only way that any of these things have ever been stopped is by bullets, sadly, or sword. Because until then, as long as you do everything peacefully, they've been getting massacred. And the same is happening in Pakistan now. That you're the silent majority and you're just getting slaughtered and nobody is doing anything about it. And sadly, the military has a lot of these fundamentalists in them. The police have a bunch of fundamentalism, and there's the people who are on top. So from Zia's time, this is how it happened. All his chosen people are on the top, the generals and all that. Who gets promoted up is going to be part of these guys. And the numbers are growing because there's more madrasas, there's more money flowing in from Saudi Arabia than ever before.
So Zia was taking on Salafism.
No, Zia was working with them.
He was promoting it, yeah.
He was promoting it. He got so much money from the Saudi Arabia.
And that's why he got their support. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was a puppet of Saudi Arabia.
He was. And now...
And that's the beginning of the radicalization of Pakistan?
Yes, that's when it started. That's when it got... I mean, it goes... That's when it really started in Pakistan. Why it started was a different reason. It was like when Khomeini took over, got rid of the Shah in Iran, they're Shias. And he said, we're going to go, you know, next will be Saudi Arabia to fall. They freaked out and they got, this one family with billions of dollars of control who were going to lose that because some crazy guy next door took over. He's another nutcase on the one side. So they started to make themselves stronger. They had to put a barrier and they started promoting this kind of madrasas and all that. For them, it's like a fighting, but not in Saudi Arabia, outside, and stop it before it comes in here. And that's what they've done very successfully.
So
there's a huge amount of money going out
for you personally, then, you know, like, I'm sure you were aware of this as it was happening, and
yeah.
You're in America as this is happening, right?
Yeah, I was going back and forth, but I live here.
So you see that, and then you come back here, and your opinion of this place must be pretty, because it's relative to that. How did you feel about America then? How did you feel about here? Like, was it great? Like, you were just...
I love this country, no, because when I look at America, I don't look at policies of one guy or another. I look at America as Americans, as the people, my neighbors, my friends, and people I hang around with. They are like you and me and everybody else who believe the same things, and, you know, good of human nature versus fundamentalism and what it's doing to the world. They are not part of Halliburton. They're not part of these companies who would promote this. But forget that. I'm very much against... I have arguments. I had an argument just now with a friend of mine, and a lot of people, when they blame this country, I get really upset because I believe I'm part of this country now. It is my country. And I say you look within. You look at so many Pakistanis right now who are willing to kill other Pakistanis, or Arabs willing to kill Pakistanis, or, you know, these are your enemies, not US, not Israel. The problem is right here. And if you're open to killing it and then you don't care where the money comes from, then you'll take it from wherever. That's fine. And somebody's going to help you sooner or later. Somebody has an interest, they'll help you. And I don't think the US has any interest in that. Saudi Arabia does. US is stuck with Saudi Arabia because they promised them help years ago, and they stuck with that. They got to change their policy. If we change our policy, how we deal with Saudi Arabia, this will stop really fast, because the Saudi Arabia knows that we don't have their back when they do things that are not, you know, don't coincide with our values. they'll back off. They have to, because right now they think no matter what, they can do whatever. They can push people around. They're bombing Yemen. They're doing all kinds of creating atrocities all over the world right now with impunity because U.S. is gonna back him up when this, and that's a promise we've made since I forget who the president was at the time, but that promise has been kept alive all these years. And now right now the biggest lobby in the U.S. is the Saudi lobby, which I don't know if everybody knows that, but it's bigger than APAC and anything.
Wow.
It's the largest lobby in the U.S. and they are making sure that support does not stop.
Wow. This is more of a canned question.
Mm.
Were there any specific immigration policies that aided you when you came for community college? I mean, was there like something, this is happening and you knew and you could take advantage of it? And,
I was really.
I know Reagan was very pro-immigration.
Um, I, I didn't have any issues because I was very lucky. It was easier, in a sense, because my mother is an American. She was born here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my grandfather came here, my mother's side, when he was like 7 years old or something like that, and he worked his way up, and then he moved to Syria years ago, and my mother was 14, I think, when she moved to Syria, and 3 years later my father married her, but she's an American. She was born here and raised here and all that till she was 14.
So you got a visa really easy.
So no, I had a Pakistani passport. So visa was just a stuff because I had a Pakistani passport. My father was against us getting an American passport. So why do you need that? We're Pakistani. So we never had. In my family, nobody had an American passport except for my mom. But when I was going to school here, and I started, because they became part of my life, and I started, when I would go back, I started feeling different. Like I felt more at home here than I do over there. Then I decided I want to start the process, and I applied, and under my mom's name, and she helped me, and it was. I was past 18, but I could still get it. I just had to go through a longer process, but it was fairly simple.
Wow. So, Syria. You got to like be there when it was a metropolis kind of place.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Gosh, people were friendly. I could go out for a walk at 3 in the morning. Nobody would ever bother you. People were so much fun. I mean, decent people. One of the nicest people. And very cultured. Good manners. I mean, you never saw that anywhere else. I used to love going there. And this fundamentalism thing spread slowly over there too. As much as I didn't think much of Assad, and in fact, the Assad family was there since I was a kid. So they were always in charge.
Assad represented Westernization, right?
The new one.
Yeah, Bashar.
Bashar. Yeah, him and his wife. You see them; they're totally Western. They're very respectful of all the Muslims. They do all the thing. They pray.
They're the Alawites?
The Alawites were the Muslims. So Saudi Arabia doesn't like anybody who's not Wahhabi. That's it. So these people are not Wahhabis, and
so Syria is a casualty of this.
Yeah, this is
clash.
Right now. That whole area is a problem of Wahhabism, nothing else, and they're spreading their ideology.
That's insane.
And they didn't exist. They just came around less than 100 years ago, and they've become so powerful because that's what keeps the Saud Saud family. Imagine naming the country after your name. Saudi Arabia comes from King Saud.
So ignorant Americans' reactions to all of this is just to be terrified of Arabs.
Yeah.
And so do you think it's possible that there could be like a Muslim ID database in the future? Do you think Trump could get elected and something like that so terrible could happen?
I just can't believe it. I could be wrong because it's happened before. I could be wrong, but I think we've evolved beyond that. I think we've learned from our mistakes, because even if a president, you look at how much Obama tried to do and how much he couldn't do. If he was an emperor, a lot of stuff would have been different in this country, But it's not that easy for a president to change things. He has to contend with the House. There's no way it's going to pass. And then the judicial part.
Well, how do you feel the fact that that's in the spirit of our people, though? Because like you said, we're Americans, and these are our people and our neighbors. Some of our neighbors are okay with that, like.
They are okay with it because they're frustrated with the whole thing and because they're fearful and they don't know. I think the change won't come that easily if the people have to be educated. Like I hear all the time. I mean, I was skiing and this woman sitting next to me, Sunny, she just hello, and we start talking, and she started bringing these things about, well, what do you think about this, and why are we supporting Israel? I'm like, wow, like, and she was like a Trump type supporter type of person. But she even, and that's something that when you asked me about why would I even consider Trump, I said, man, if my choice is between Hillary and Trump, and you're talking about Hillary, she embodies a lot of my values, except when it comes to foreign policy, where she's gonna be doing everything she can that Israel can do anything with impunity and there's nothing wrong. I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
And same with Saudi Arabia, that these are our friends. Why are they our friends? They're killing more Americans. They're paying for people to kill Americans, and they are friends, and we're supporting them. I mean, they're stabbing us in the back every day time they get a chance, and we support these people. These other people have done nothing to us, and people say Iran. Oh, everybody's this woman on the ski slope saying, Iran. Why we make a deal with them? Iran this, Iran. I said, wait a minute. What has Iran done? The 19 hijackers were Saudis. All these wars that I say happening all over Iraq and Saudi, all this is and the Taliban and the ISIS. These are all Saudi-backed people that we're fighting. At the same time, we're supporting Saudi Arabia. What has Iran done? Tell me, please. They took hostages in 1980 and they released them in 1980. They didn't kill one hostage. Why are we so scared of Iranis? What the hell? So this is just the news media saying, oh yeah, the terrorists, and that becomes everybody's rhetoric without ever thinking. Nobody thinks about it. Why? And until we start thinking, okay, well, why do we hit it? Iran is not a great country either. I mean, they got fundamental rulers, but they hurt their own people, which is okay. I have a problem with those people too, but they don't spread their ideology to the rest of the world. And
That's Saudi Arabia.
that's Saudi Arabia, and blatantly, openly, and yet we saying, oh, they are friends. We're going to support them. We helping them bomb, Yemen. Okay, not we don't. Their American planes aren't bombing, but we're refueling them in the sky. It's wrong, and we have to say no to these people. If somebody doesn't work enough with our values, we have to learn to say no. And if I think this change would come if the news media wasn't so controlled, if they were saying exactly what they have to say, so that people actually stop calling these names terrorists with somebody unless you say that group is a terrorist and they're backed by so and so, and you put the whole lineage in there. Stop putting Iran in that group or all Muslims and stuff. Imagine all these Muslims were radical killers. This world would be over. The 1.5 billion Muslim men ready to kill everybody. Are you kidding me? But they kill more Muslims than anybody else. The same terrorists that people are scared of, they're the people being killed by. I mean, look at all these poor Syrians that are running away from Syria.
Right, they think Europeans think they're the people that they're running from.
Yeah, and these poor guys are running for their lives, and you want to kill them and push them back. If they want to stay there, and they support this, they would have stayed. They don't. They're against this. Most Muslims are against this crap.
So how do you feel about Americans who are like, no Syrian refugees? Trump's one of those people.
Yeah.
It's unreasonable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really unreasonable, uneducated, and it's the sad part. I think the main thing we're all fighting is ignorance. And it's the same fight that goes over and over for centuries,
Right. I think that's what you meant when you said it's a cyclical.
Right.
It's a human ignorance at the end of the day.
End of the day, it just comes down to ignorance, because the same people Jesus was against, and Muhammad was against, and Moses was against, and here we are again.
What do you this is a separate question to that, but so in my opinion, you've done well in America financially. Like you've made a good life.
Yeah.
Was that hard for you? Did your ethnicity have any role in it? Did people treat you differently insofar as business was? Like just having an accent and not being white?
Yeah.
Did you not even care about those things and you were just like, I'm going to do it regardless?
Yeah, I think if you make it an issue, it becomes an issue.
But can someone else make it an issue for you without you wanting it to be?
No.
No?
No, because if you have your mindset, this country is really, this offers you opportunities that nobody else does.
So everything being relative again,
you know what?
You saw it.
The color here matters. Only color that really matters in business is green. Nobody gives a shit once you show them how you can say, I can show you how I can make money for you. I got my biggest jump in life was when I convinced a bank to work with me and what I could do for
Stockton Bank?
The Bank of Stockton, yeah. And they liked what I showed them, and they worked with me, and they were very grateful, and I'm grateful. I'll always be grateful to the person in there who took a business decision to say, yeah, this is actually makes sense. And then they had statistics and numbers to show that, yeah, signing up with this guy really helped us so much. And when their business went up, My business went up, so it was great for both
So you
sides.
feel like ethnicity never played a role in your
I,
economic
I
life?
won't say never.
What about earlier, before
Yeah,
ADS?
of course. When I first started, um, I mean, by all accounts and standards, everything they put in front of me, I was working hard. I was doing better than other guys, and I couldn't get promotion because there was one guy who was, it was like a little bit of a, I would say, racist or whatever, where he didn't want to give me a chance. But if I let that guy define where I was gonna go, I would have stayed where I was.
What'd you do to defy him?
Well, I kept pushing. I said, I just went and talked to him. I said, what do I have to do? Because that job that he just gave this other guy was mine. I mean, everybody knew. I had a degree in finance. The guy didn't. He was a high school dropout. If you say, okay, but his numbers are better, no. My number, I was selling more than him. Everybody looked at it, I had him beat. But either it was my ethnicity or because he played golf with the general manager. But so it could be the other thing too. It could just,
It was his friend.
I thought it was just because they're friends. But somebody else told me, oh no, he never liked Pakistanis or he doesn't like brown. I'm like, I don't know. I know they were friends too, so it could be either one of those two things. So I went up to him. I said, look, okay, I didn't get the job. That's fine. But tell me what I need to do to get it to move up. You tell me. So he put some really difficult. He said, oh, you need to do this and this and this, and like you have to be the top salesman for 3 months in a row, which is really hard to do. You gotta have your customers have to have the like some ridiculous stuff that they have to buy more of this and buy more of that, and then I could consider. So I did everything he asked me to do. I said, okay, that's fine. I'll do what you do, but then you better move me up. So after I hit all the numbers and everything he told me I had to do, he said, okay, now we just have to wait for an opening, and of course, there was never going to be an opening. He wouldn't give me a chance. So I was like so close to quitting, and then another general manager said, look, if you're not going to promote this guy, I will. This owner of this company had 11 dealerships.
Wow.
I was in one of them, but another people had heard of me, and they says, this guy deserves to move up, and if you don't move him up, I will. And the guy says, anyway, so he took me over, and he promoted me, and I did really well for his office, and then it was just from there. I just had to, sometimes you have to work a little bit extra, but you got there. So it's okay. I mean, it's like you feel like if you have a strong work ethic and you're gonna be willing to do whatever.
So, but in general, you would say you just refuse to let that impede your progress.
Yeah, because if you start believing that, it stops you from doing anything. If you can't believe in that stuff. You say, okay, there'll be some people who are backward, but that's their problem. I've been to places where they were like hostile to me, especially from when I moved from San Francisco area to the East Bay, and I got a job in Vallejo. The general manager and the owner where they put me, the finance manager, this guy used to actually wear a cowboy hat and a holster with a gun to work sometimes. I mean, he was like a full cowboy. It was like, and he would just looked at me and it's your office, and that's it. They weren't helping me much. I came in and I started working, and I could show them how I made them more money. It was all a matter of, I mean, same deals coming in, knowing which bank would like it better, which bank will give you a better margin. Which I knew the system. I worked at it much longer, and I was better than my boss was. So when I started making these guys money, they they protected me with their lives, man. They were like, somebody come to threaten me. One guy came, like, and these guys were with guns ready to stand in front of me and say, you don't touch this guy, you have to go through us. I'm like, Bob.
So I guess ironically for me, you have a lot of positive interracial experiences.
Oh, yeah. Even people who didn't like me in the beginning must get to know. I believe everybody gets to know somebody else, and they usually
That defeats the ignorance.
it defeats ignorance, and that's all it is. It's like, I can't hate anybody because I haven't met any culturally, religiously, like a group that you can't talk to and find something good in them. And I find some good in everybody. And I think most people, once they get to know you and anybody where you come from, and they get to understand your family, most of them are respectful, and they say, wow, they have good values, and it changes.
It's good.